G'day, I'm Tallboy Gareth. Today we're at the Sydney Tramway Museum for their 60th anniversary, checking out the historic trams, as well as some vintage cars and a bus. Even a red rattler train, as well as riding an old wooden escalator. Well, kinda. This place has a huge display hall with one of the most unique trams on Earth. They actually have an old prison tram built to transport criminals to and from jail. Amazing. And I'll tell you the story how I was almost jumped by 5 guys while trying to photograph one of the newest old trams on Earth. And we even get to ride a couple as well. So if you love rail history like I do, then come join me for this amazing adventure. Here we go.
G'day guys, my name is Gareth and today I'm filming my very first video here at the Sydney Tramway Museum. This is the 60th anniversary of this whole setup being open to the public and riding trams, right? Look at this thing! Wow! We're going to be jumping on quite a few trams today, checking out the static displays and seeing basically what's here. This is my first time being here. I'm pretty happy. Let's go.
But of course, when you have a very special anniversary day like it is today, such as 75 years of preserving trams and 60 years of actually running them for the public, they weren't just going to show trams. They were going to show cars, or as they used to say back in the day, automobiles.
Look at how tiny this car is compared to me, Tallboy Gareth. I am about 6'8" tall. So let's get a quick comparison if we can, right? It's up to my knees. Wow. So that tram that just came past us had no passengers written on the very front of it. So what's even the point? What's the purpose of having such a machine being built in the first place if you can't even ride on it, right? It's a rail scrubber. It basically scrubs the rails as it goes along to create a bit of a clean atmosphere for the beautiful train wheels. It's a rail scrubber. It's quite an important piece of machinery, especially it's not every day you get to see a 50-plus-year-old tram from Sydney go past you. Now, Sydney in recent years have basically rebuilt a small portion of their tram system, just a very small portion. If I could give a message to the Australian government, to the New South Wales government, keep going, you're doing great. Keep rebuilding our system back almost to what it was. Almost. I don't think it can be ever replicated to what it ever was back in the past, but if they tried and really built this properly, it would become Sydney, Australia's backbone. It would be a tourist attraction, a city identity. It would be incredible if we ever rebuilt our tram network somewhat similar to what it used to be. Sydney used to have the biggest, longest, that's what she said, tram system on Earth. Roughly, I'm pretty sure it was like the biggest. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. Pretty.
Once again, if the triple key on the electric train network.
Well, these two have clearly got the best view in the house. Wow. So I've obviously been a rail enthusiast all my life, pretty much, right? I was in my mum's womb and I was going choo-choo, little did she know, right? If she had known, she would have miscarried. Anyway, how cool is this? If you guys have never been to a place like this, a tram or a train museum, basically a place that goes choo-choo or ding-ding with a lot of history attached. If you've never been, you need to go. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but there used to be an arcade game called Crazy Taxi. It used to be in the arcades, and also it was a PlayStation game, right? It was a really, really cool game where you drive a taxi picking up passengers in San Francisco and just basically being crazy, all right? Maybe possibly slightly mentally ill. I'm not really sure, but I can't confirm. But anyway, imagine using this thing in Crazy Taxi. They're in my shot. Check out this bloke right here, literally having a read of the paper. Just chilling out. What a legend.
We've even got an old phone box here.
Thank you so much for the work that you do in preserving our transport history. As the Parliamentary Secretary for Transport, it's a huge pleasure to me.
The restoration work that you are doing, all, so many of you in your own time. Congratulations, Faye, Greg, John, Jeff, everybody that is here. Congratulations. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And,
yeah.
you know, I look forward to seeing what's next. What's next? So much here since the 1950s.
1, 2. Okay, so I'm going to try and make you guys not dizzy by turning this around in a second, but I want you guys to count as many trams as you can see. So there's 2 behind me, but slowly turn around. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's even a, well, new one, brand new one in comparison to these old ones. Let me show you. So let's slowly make our way down here and see some of the displays, just from this point of view at least. Now this tram is very modern in comparison to the other ones. This is a Varios, I'm pretty sure, a Varios tram that used to be running in Sydney for many years. And they scrapped them, except for one. Look at that. And there's a Tangara. Just to show you how tramified this area is. Take a look at this. The tramification of this area is wild. I repeat, the tramification. That's right, you heard that right. The tramification of this area is insane. It's probably not a real word, but it is now. It will be added to the Oxford Dictionary any moment. Now, I may be incorrect, but I think this is the only modern looking bendy tram in the world to be in a tram museum. If I'm wrong, I'm sure there'll be someone in the comments that will comment the hell out of me. Do it, please let me know, let others know, because more information is better, right? Let's have a look inside. All right, so let's have a look inside. Let's check this tram out. This is a tram that I used to get on many times over the years in Sydney before they removed it. This is my first time getting on in a long time. And we got a teddy bear here. It must be his picnic. Because it's a teddy bear picnic, right? Does anyone get the reference? No? Okay, never mind. There's even a model of this tram in the very front cab driver compartment. But here we go, let's have a quick look in here. Now, I will say, when this tram was operating with passengers, it was nice and cool. The air conditioning system was amazing. But right now, the AC is shocking. It is not working correctly. So apparently there were 7 of these. That's 5, 7. They're crazy that this is such a modern looking, I mean, it is a modern tram in comparison, right? but it's awesome that it's out here at the museum. Really awesome.
Good afternoon, everyone. The next and final stop will be Central Station, a light for Sydney trains, New South Wales Trainlink services, intercity and regional trains, buses and metro services towards Sydney and Tallawong. This is the last stop on this service. Thank you for travelling with Sydney Light Rail today. Enjoy your afternoon.
High five. That was a great job. Somewhat interesting story that happened to me regarding this tram. They retired all 6 or 7 of these trams and got rid of them. They're no longer in Sydney. They've been trucked out to a yard in Penrith, of all places, Sydney's west, Penrith, next to the Blue Mountains, right? And I'd heard about this. I heard about this repair shop, this scrap metal works, whatever the hell it was. It was storing 6 or 7 of these trams in Penrith, and I was like, well, I need to go see this, right? So I ended up getting my bicycle, went on the train to Penrith, and then from Penrith train station, used my GPS and rode my bike all the way to this yard that had 6 or 7 of these trams, right? And I was like, I stopped my bike just out the front, and I was like, oh shit, there's construction guys in there, and it says do not enter, do not come in, you know, prohibited, no access to the public. I was like, look, I'm just gonna play dumb. I'm just gonna drive in there real quick with my bike, and hopefully nothing bad happens, right? Well, anyway, something bad happened. I'm gonna show you the video. It's only a very, very quick 1-minute video. Just see that. That's the old Sydney Trams, the trams that used to run in Sydney. They were first introduced in the early 90s, I believe, but we've got new trams in Sydney now, and those are the old trams that are just sitting there rotting, basically, going to waste. But you know, I was just riding past in Penrith, and I was like, hey, that's Sydney's old trams. What are they doing here? Pretty cool encounter. I love little experiences like this, you know, going for a bike ride, getting the wind in my face, exercise, seeing new things. It's all good. Okay, so the reason the video is so short with very, very, very little footage is because the construction crew team started running out after me. They then proceeded to close the gates behind me, so they basically trapped me in there. And the boss guy comes up to me, and I stopped my bike because I got nowhere to go now, right? I can't film anything else because they've literally imprisoned me, right? He comes up to me and says, "Oi, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. You came here last night. You broke in last night." I'm like, you know, I thought, well, look, I can't meet his energy because I'm not going to go anywhere. So I just played the complete nice guy, you know, didn't know what he was on about. "Oh, sorry, sir, I just drove my bike past and I saw the trams and I was in shock, and I thought, wow, this is interesting. I had no idea." Obviously, I knew that the trams were there. That's why I was there, right? But anyway, his boys come up from behind him, like 3 or 4 of his construction guys now basically surround me, ready to tackle me just in case I was to do something to the boss man, right? They're going to protect the boss guy, right? At all costs. So I'm like, shit, this is a bit of a situation. This, you know, be cool, Gareth. I got to be cool. If I act hostile towards this guy, the main guy, then he's going to get his boys on me. I'm completely outnumbered, 5 to 1, right? This is not a good situation. So I just played the opposite energy to what he was doing to me. I was like, "Oh, sorry, sir. I think we've gotten off at the wrong foot here. I was just passing by, and I don't know anything about who broke into your shop last night. It certainly wasn't me. I don't live here. I was just driving past." Anyway, I just blabbed my mouth as nicely and smiley as possible. Anyway, he literally had no idea how to deal with me because I wasn't angry. I wasn't meeting his energy. I wasn't trying to fight him like he almost was trying to fight me. So he's like, "Oh, okay. You sure it wasn't you broke in?" I said, "Mate, I'm not even from here. This is the first time I've ever been here." Which was kind of true, right? I don't live in Penrith. Anyway, they finally let me out. But for a good 4 to 5 minutes, I was trapped inside of that scrapyard, surrounded by 5 men, all because of these scrapped trams. Thankfully, they kept one of them. Thankfully. So we've got some tables here for people who want to buy knickknacks, right? But this is literally an old tram. No longer in service. There are no wheels attached by the looks of it. But you know what? We can actually go inside because it is a gift shop. Let's check it out. This should be interesting. I don't know what to expect. I have no idea what to expect. No cash kept on premises. That's a shame because I actually brought my balaclava, so looks like I'm not using that today. Well, let's go have a look in here. Wow. Amazing. There you go. Books, magazines. There we go. Get some nice tins. Anyone interested in the money tins?
What time is it right now? Just let me have a look.
Very, very cool.
It's 12.
Get some nice magazines of trains here. And even a bus magazine. But you know what? We're not here for that. So we'll just cover that. That's okay. I love that this place has not just trams, right, but cars, bikes, even signal boxes and tram stations. This signal box was actually placed in Liverpool Street, Sydney. This thing was actually in Liverpool Street, Sydney, directing trams across tracks potentially, right? Over the many decades that it was here. It's sad that it's gone, but thankfully they didn't bulldoze it, right? They actually meticulously took it apart and brought it back here. Incredible. Now the little guy inside the signal box may be a dummy, but those two security cameras up there are not dummies at all. And just when you thought no one was watching, someone is always watching. That's the philosophy that I've come to live by in life, right? If you feel like you want to do something bad, something naughty, especially in public, just remember there's usually someone watching. Now, if you were someone who actually cared about old buses and the history of buses in general, I mean, I can't sympathize for you. I'm not here for that. I hate buses. They make me feel sick sometimes. Yuck. I'm here for the other four-wheeled object, all right, trams. But if you did like buses, you could go on one of them, right? One of the old buses that go around the town and come back, right? All right, just for you guys, here's a better view of this one. Sydney Bus Museum. Perhaps I need to visit this place someday. That is, of course, if my stomach can actually handle it. We'll see. It barely fits in train. Barely. It's really tall. Just like me. But as I said, I'm not here for that. I'm at the railway crossing right here to get a very interesting shot that's about to happen. So at past, there's going to be two old trams, I think the O's? I think? They're literally connected together. So we're going to get a shot of them coming past this rail crossing. Let's do it. And here it comes, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very interesting filming opportunity. Let me tell you, I am not the only person filming this. We'll see quite a few others in a second. Here we go. This beautiful old building here at the museum never used to be here. It actually used to be on Bathurst Street in Sydney. It used to be the YMCA, if I heard correctly. And this, the YMCA needed to, for whatever reason, get rid of their building, right? But the museum was like, you know what? The facade is something that we actually really want to keep. So they ended up trucking the, well, they didn't tram it, did they? They didn't bring it by tram here. I guess they would have liked to have, but no, they trucked it here, right? And they've put it up here as best as possible. Apparently, if they want to finish it off and make it all really nice, they're $3 million short. So if anyone's got some money, shout their way. All right, let's have a look. All right, so this must be where the exhibits are, if I read correctly. Let's have a look inside. Wow. Wow. If you're interested, come here. They do need help. Old Melbourne tram here. Wow. Look at this. That's pretty cool. I had no idea this place had this many trams. Very shocked. Very cool. And these two are practically kissing. There is so much going on here. It's crazy. And this is an old Brisbane tram. Unbelievable. And unfortunately, Brisbane and Queensland removed all their trams many years ago. The only trams that are in Queensland, Australia, are the new trams, newish trams in the Gold Coast, right? But look at this door in front of me. This has got to be the skinniest door, the drive compartment door I've ever seen. Two hand lengths, not even that, not even that. 1 3/4 hand lengths. Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God. What the hell? You know what? I might have found a bus that I actually like, and I'll tell you why. Because this isn't any old bus. It's a trolley bus. An electric trolley bus that used the electric wire above. And not just that, look at this photo. This is what this trolley bus looked like. Did a fire happen? I'm not really sure. God damn. What a transformation. And there are even trams where you are not allowed to access them. Interesting. Must be doing work on these ones. Now I want you guys to check out this tram specifically, because this tram is actually photographed working back in the day. And it wasn't working on any random line. The line that it was working on was North Sydney and the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So this is the photo of the tram in front of us, and it's literally about to go onto the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Those are the old tram tracks and the tram tunnels that went to the old tram station in Wynyard. Amazing. If only they had kept those tracks for either trams or a future metro on the Harbour Bridge. It would have been amazing. So by now you can see that there are clearly a lot of unique trams in this place. But there's one tram in particular which takes the cake for uniqueness. Have a look at this. On this side of the tram, there are no windows at all. Why is that? Let's have a look on the other side. What do we see? It even says no passengers. But the thing is, this thing actually did pick up people. So checking it from this side, there are windows, but you cannot see through them, except for maybe here. And maybe this gives it away as to what this machine was used for. It's actually a prison tram, moving convicts or prisoners from one place to another, going to the courthouse or going from jail to jail, right? Wow, let's have a look inside. So from this side of the tram, the windowed side, there are no doors to get in. So we'll go on the other side in a second. But what can we see through this window, perhaps? Wow. That's amazing. I can't imagine anyone in their right mind wanting to actually voluntarily get into this tram back in the day, but we're gonna do it. Can you imagine being shackled, getting held by a couple of guards, brought into here? Presumably these other cages would have been packed with people. Oh my God, what the hell is that? That's definitely a little spooky. That almost gave me a heart attack. But can you imagine the feeling you would have had from the perspective of the prisoners, I guess, knowing that you were getting taken, not to the cinemas, not to see your friend, not to the shops, but you were getting taken to jail on this tram, literally shackled with other prisoners. Spooky, a little spooky. So if you want to read that, please do. But this is very interesting because Sydney is one of the only cities in the world to have a prison tram. Wow. So 4 times a day for 40 years between 1909 and 1949, the prison car would travel between Darlinghurst Courthouse and Long Bay Jail. 4 times a day. Remarkable. Now, according to this information, apparently one man managed to escape this tram while he was getting transferred from one place to another. So a man named Darcy Dugan managed to cut his way free and escape. Wow. Now, how did he do it? Well, so as the tram passed the Sydney cricket ground, he basically produced a bread knife he had stolen earlier. Basically managed to cut his way free and escape through the canvas roof. 1946. So this is a photo of the 2 men who actually managed to escape one of the prison trams. Really glad that people kept this, because this would just be something that people talked about perhaps over the years, right? Now we can actually come in here and realize that shit, this was actually a real thing. Incredible. So here at the Sydney Tramway Museum, not all these trams are here from Sydney. Not all these trams are even here from Australia. The one that I'm in right now, pretty sure, is Italian. And take a look outside. The tram next to me is from Ballarat, Victoria. Now, we did a video at Ballarat a month ago or so, and I'm probably 90% finished in the edit for that video so far, but by the time you're watching this video, my Ballarat Tramway Museum video is already out, so go check that one out if you want. Literally linked in the description below. This is literally the Ballarat tram here in Sydney. It's unusual to see it. The old Ballarat trams tend to have these checkered patterns going on. But this is a Ballarat tram from Victoria. But the one in front of it, which looks kind of like a bus, once again is not from Australia, it's actually from San Francisco, the place where I left my heart. It's a song, right? I left my heart in San Francisco. Does anyone get the reference? Probably not. Anyway, let's have a look. You can actually see the Australian flag as well as the American flag in between Fisherman's Wharf signage. How amazing is that? The last time I was riding on one of these models was literally in San Francisco. It's really, really wide, and apparently it ran really smoothly. It was nicknamed Magic Carpet. Pretty cool. And you know what's crazy? Me and my family went to San Francisco 20 years ago or so for a family holiday, and we actually rode on not this particular one, but this particular model, right? The exact same model of tram. They've still got them running around San Francisco even today on tourist runs. So San Francisco is famous for its Muni tram system, right? In fact, they've got so many different old trams from not just San Francisco, not just America, but even around the world. They're all running around the city area, the city loop in San Francisco, and we rode on heaps of them, right? So this is literally a story that I told when I was at the Ballarat Tramway Museum. Me and my parents, right, we've been to America quite a few times over the years. The last one was like 20 years ago, right? When we went all around America and to San Francisco. At that point in time, I'd actually never been to Melbourne, Australia, right? Because I'm from Sydney and I'd never been to Melbourne, right? So here I am in San Francisco with my parents riding these beautiful historic trams around San Francisco, right? There are trams from here, there, and everywhere, not just America, but different parts of the world actually running around the city loop in San Francisco for tourists to ride on, right? And San Francisco actually now has 2 Melbourne old trams. Peace. San Francisco now has 2 old Melbourne trams. But when I went there 20 years ago or so, there was only 1 Melbourne tram. And believe it or not, that was my very first time riding a Melbourne tram. Not in Melbourne, but in San Francisco. So crazy that happened to me. Now, just to the left of the San Francisco car, got a really beautiful old New South Wales car. Let's have a look at this little picture here, little drawing. New South Wales tramways. How amazing. But just up here is a tram, definitely not from Australia, because this is from Nagasaki, Japan. So, built in 1952 for the Japanese city of Sendai. Am I saying that right? 350 kilometers north of Tokyo. And it was sold to Nagasaki in 1976, so after World War II, right? In use there until 1991, when it was replaced by new trams. So it was donated to the museum here in 1992. Fully operational. Wow. Look at the Japanese stuff. Advertisements. That's cool. This is actually going to be pretty interesting because I'm actually going to Japan at some point soon to film a lot of videos there. I've wanted to go for a long time. But the thing about Japanese people is that compared to people from the rest of the world, they could be considered slightly smaller in height than the average person. Or the average Westerner, I guess. And since I am 6'8", 6'9" tall, I definitely have a problem with their advertisements. That's saying something. So they've actually got a visitor's book here where you can write your name down. We're going to jump on this tram right now and get a ride to the end, which is the national park. 7 to 8. Let's get on. And away we go. this is definitely a little bit exciting, I'm not gonna lie. And he's got a pretty cool job. I want his job. University of Wollongong. These part of the tracks are really, really bumpy. It's kind of cool. Very loud as well. And one of the good things about these old trams is that they've actually kept a lot of the old advertising on the sides and on the ceiling. Have a look at this. Looks like we've got a siding now for two trams to pass each other. Heaps of tram tracks and tram bogies over there. Look at this. That's awesome. There's a train. Oh, look at the old-fashioned. Oh my God, there's an old train over there. Red Rattler.
We're just going
Just
back.
missed that, but he just
Going back up here.
reattached to the side. Interesting. So this is the first of two stops. Apparently, the national park is the other way. So we'll go that way in a second. There's an old Sydney tram. In fact, both are old Sydney trams. But there's actually a building to check out. It looks like an old substation, an old power station. See the transformers? I've honestly never seen abandoned electricity infrastructure like this before. Imagine going on the other side of the fence though, thinking it's all part of the museum and touching that. It might be the last thing you ever do. Because on this side, oh, it is definitely still running. Should I? Or should I not? Should I? Or should I not? You only live once, right? Bam, bam, bam. So that's where our tram has just stopped. Let's have a look in here. Wow. They've got a freaking model train here, or model tram. How amazing. So they've got some pretty cool models here. Bridge. I think this bridge is actually still in Sydney today, but it doesn't hold trams anymore. Got some very interesting models of some ships here. Old-time warships. Beautiful. Oh my God. Are you looking at this? This is a wooden escalator, and it's from Town Hall train station, underground train station. Unbelievable. I used to ride on these escalators for many years. This is actually a thing of beauty. I know that sounds weird to the average person, but to see these wooden escalators again, I used to ride on them in Town Hall. Look at that. I'm so glad they kept some of it at least. Not all of it, obviously, but some of it. Otis. That is crazy. Wow. Now, one of the major reasons why they ended up scrapping these wooden escalators, not just here in Sydney, but pretty much worldwide, is because of the maintenance factor, right? Wood wears over time. The gears inside were getting a bit unreliable. But the number one reason they ended up scrapping wooden escalators is because it hurt dogs and it hurt women with high heels, and probably children as well. Let me explain. So when guide dogs would come on these escalators, sometimes they'd get their paws stuck in these wide gaps. These gaps are way, way wider
than the average escalator that we see today, right? These are huge. I mean, look, I'll put my finger. My finger can literally go, my fingers, all of them can go inside of this area. And the problem is, women's high heels were getting stuck in here, and the shoes were getting like dragged into the mechanism of the escalator, right? For children with little shoes would get stuck in these massive wooden gaps, right? Hence why modern escalators have such a tiny little gap. Much, much better.
Even though modern technology is much better, it's really sad to see them gone, because Town Hall underground train station in Sydney had many of these wooden escalators. Even the Maya building, I think, had the wooden escalators. I think there were some in Wynyard as well. There was definitely some in Town Hall and Wynyard train stations, underground train stations. They're right next to each other, right? It's Town Hall and then Wynyard, right in the heart of Sydney, if you're not from Sydney. But actually in Wynyard train station, there's an art installation on the ceiling of the wooden escalator steps, right? They literally spiral up and spiral down. And if I can get a photo or a video of it, I absolutely include it into this video.
So, thanks to my friend Phil from Sydney Trains Vlogs, as well as, of course, Abandoned Oz, we're able to see this really interesting footage of these old wooden escalators here in Wynyard.
I am currently at Sydney's Wynyard Station, and in front of us we have the York Street escalators. The wooden steps were taken out in 2017 and a sculpture was made which is actually hanging above the base of these escalators. Now these escalators, 3 of them were installed in 1932, with the 4th added in 1952.
It's from Town Hall train station, underground train station. Unbelievable. I wonder if the emergency stop button actually works. Let's try it. It slightly goes in but doesn't fully go in. No. So apparently this thing right here is actually a cable-driven tram. So before newfangled electricity would take over, right? Take over the whole world, let's face it. Electricity was just that thing that Nikola Tesla, crazy Nikola Tesla would talk about. But it obviously became something, didn't it? This was a cable tram, right? This was literally pulled by a cable underneath the ground, right? A lot of places around the world, a lot of cities around the world ended up having cable-driven tramways installed at one point, right? Obviously, as electricity became more and more reliable, this is actually a viable piece of technology. We should really utilize this to better our transport future, right? So they ended up removing the cable system and installing electric trams. But the thing is, they've still got these trams, right, which could hold people. So how do you still utilize this even though that your cable system is now gone? You just use this as a trailer, right? You have an electric tram that literally pulls this along. One electric, one cable driven, but without the cable. And that's how they utilize that until they have newer models. Pretty cool. Well, it might be time to get back on another tram, because our one has definitely gone there. Well, I think we're definitely going to go on this one right now. And it will be leaving first. And away we go. What a beauty, huh? Very cool. If anyone will actually say anything to me if I start standing up and walking around. One way to figure it out. One way to find out. Let's go. There we go. I'm probably going to get a shouted at any moment now. even got handles on the outside of this old tram car. Now I'm not too sure why that would be, unless they allowed people back in the day to actually hold on while outside. I can't imagine any other reason about that. There is actually a step in it, so anyone who wanted to ride on the outside technically good. We're changing tracks right now. But you may be wondering, right? What if you wanted some privacy from all this noise? What if you wanted a little less cold air in your face? Did this actually have a door? The answer is yes. Have a look at this. That's so cool. And look where we are right now. We're literally back in the museum.
So I was hoping for my tram to go all the way into the Royal National Park and to its train station, which is now a tram station, but unfortunately for whatever reason it was not meant to be, as this tram was not going that far. Not to worry, I shall be back another day perhaps.
What an amazing little system. Look at the rollers up there. See the rollers? That's amazing. So I literally just had a couple of sausage sandwiches sitting right here, and it's blowing my mind that I was sitting right here watching trains and trams past this. Why is it blowing my mind? Because this is the old railway square tram shed, tram waiting area for passengers, right? Unbelievable. I've been waiting for buses so many times over the years at Railway Square, just outside Sydney's Central Station. Sydney Central Station used to have heaps and heaps and heaps of tram tracks and trams going past all the time. This was literally right there, right where the buses are today, right? Obviously it's a different waiting area for the buses, but this is what was here in Central when the trams were going past. Unbelievable. So unfortunately for many years I've had to wait for a bus, because after a certain time of night, usually after midnight, there are no more trains going home to where I live, right? So I got to literally wait there at the square for my bus to arrive. It's not a joyful experience, let me put it that way. But to sit here now and have my dinner and watch trams and trains go past, completely different story. It's amazing. And as you can see, this isn't just a two-dimensional shed. It's not fourth dimensional either, it's three-dimensional. It's 3D. There's both sides going on. Amazing. It's amazing that trams are now still going either side of this tram shed, which is obviously what was happening back in the day, right? Incredible. There's the tram museum. Here's the train station. One last very important shot before we call it a day. We have a very old red rattler coming, one of two of them today. This is the 4 p.m. one. You can see all the train fans waiting up here to get a really cool shot of this red rattler. The only problem is I'm waiting for this train to go. I'm waiting for this train to go. We're waiting for this train to go. This train's called a Tangara, and the Aboriginal word for Tangara means to go in English. See what I did there? The train finally is to go. Very cool. There's probably a few hundred people waiting for this train. That's going to be about it, guys, here at the Sydney Tramway Museum. My first time I've ever come, and I definitely will be back. If you guys liked this video, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. Only if you liked it. Only if you're not already subscribed. And I shall see you, hopefully, for the next video, whatever it may be. Love you and leave you.